The alarm bells rang across the Galactic Council's main monitoring station. The sound was sharp and urgent, cutting through the quiet hum of machines that never stopped working. Zephyr 9, the station's chief operator, lifted his 4 arms from his control panel and stared at the blinking red lights. In his 300 years of service, he had never seen this particular alarm. "What is happening?" asked his assistant, a young Vortani female named Kess. Her silver skin shimmered with worry as she floated closer to Zephyr 9's workstation. "I do not know," Zephyr 9 replied, his voice deep and rumbling. "The system is detecting something impossible." The monitoring station orbited the center of the galaxy, where the Galactic Council kept watch over thousands of star systems. Their job was simple: watch for new civilizations and track the progress of known ones. They had been doing this for millions of years, and they knew exactly what to expect from every species in their database. Zephyr 9 pressed several buttons with his lower arms, while his upper arms worked on a different part of the console. Numbers and symbols flashed across the screen in front of him. His large, black eyes widened as he read the data. "This cannot be right," he whispered. "What cannot be right?" Kess asked, moving closer. "The signal is coming from the Sol system," Zephyr 9 said, pointing at the screen. "But that is impossible." Kess looked at the data and her skin turned from silver to pale blue. "Sol system? But they are primitives. They barely know how to make fire." "That is what our records say," Zephyr 9 agreed. "But look at this signal." The screen showed a complex pattern of numbers and mathematical equations. The signal was not random noise or simple radio waves. It was sophisticated, organized, and contained information that made Zephyr 9's head hurt when he tried to understand it. "This is mathematics," he said slowly, "but not like any mathematics we know." "Maybe it is a mistake," Kess suggested. "Maybe the computers are broken," Zephyr 9 shook his head. "I have already checked. The computers are working fine." "This signal is real." He pressed more buttons and brought up the Council's files on the Sol system. The information was basic and had not been updated in thousands of years. The third planet, called Earth by its inhabitants, was home to a species called humans. The last report said they were still using stone tools and living in caves. "When was the last time we checked on them?" Zephyr 9 asked. "According to this, we sent a probe 2,000 years ago," Kess replied, reading from another screen. "The probe reported that they were just learning to grow food and build simple houses." 2,000 years? Zephyr 9 repeated. "That is nothing. No species develops this fast." But the signal was still coming through, stronger now. The mathematical proofs it contained were not just advanced, they were revolutionary. The equations showed solutions to problems that the Council's best scientists had been working on for centuries. "We need to report this to the Council," Zephyr 9 said. "But first, let me check if other stations are getting the same signal." He opened communication channels to 12 other monitoring stations spread across the galaxy. One by one, they all confirmed the same thing. They were receiving the impossible signal from Earth. "Station Gamma 7 to Central," came a voice over the radio. "We are getting readings that make no sense. The energy signatures from Sol System are off the charts." "Station Beta 3 reporting," said another voice. "We are detecting some kind of new propulsion technology. But our files say these humans should still be using wooden clubs." "Station Alpha 12 here," a third voice added. "The mathematics in this signal are solving equations we have never seen before. Where did they learn this?" Zephyr 9 felt his stomach drop. If all the stations were getting the same readings, then the signal was real. The humans had somehow jumped from cave-dwelling primitives to advanced civilization in just 2,000 years. "Kess, send an emergency message to the Council chambers," he ordered. "Tell them we have a situation that requires immediate attention." "What should I tell them?" Kess asked, her fingers hovering over the communication panel. "Tell them that Earth has just announced itself to the galaxy," Zephyr 9 said. "And tell them that everything we thought we knew about human development is wrong." While Kess sent the message, Zephyr 9 continued to study the signal. The more he looked at it, the more amazed he became. The humans were not just showing off simple technology. They were demonstrating knowledge of physics that the Council's top scientists barely understood. The signal contained blueprints for energy sources that could power entire star systems. It showed designs for materials that could repair themselves and adapt to any environment. Most shocking of all, it included medical information that could cure diseases that had plagued the galaxy for millions of years. How is this possible? Zephyr 9 asked himself. His question was answered when a new part of the signal came through. This section was different from the mathematical proofs and technical diagrams. This part was written in simple language, as if the humans were trying to explain something to children. "Greetings to whoever receives this message," the signal said. "We are the humans of Earth. We know that you have been watching us, and we know that your last report said we were primitive. We were primitive, but we are not anymore. We have made discoveries that changed everything for us. We have found things that we did not expect to find. We have learned things that we did not expect to learn. We are ready to meet you now." Zephyr 9 read the message 3 times. The humans knew about the Council. They knew they were being watched. But how was that possible? The Council's monitoring was supposed to be completely secret? "Sir," Kess said, interrupting his thoughts, "I am getting a response from the Council chambers. They want to speak with you immediately." Zephyr 9 straightened up and activated the communication system. The screen flickered and showed the face of Counselor Vex, one of the most senior members of the Galactic Council. Vex was a Chronari, a species that looked like a cross between a lizard and a tree. His bark-like skin was gray with age, and his yellow eyes were narrow with suspicion. "Zephyr 9, Counselor Vex said in his creaky voice, "I have received your report. Are you certain about these readings?" "Yes, sir," Zephyr 9 replied. 12 stations have confirmed the same signal. The humans are definitely sending this." "That is impossible," Vex said firmly. "Our last report on Earth was very clear. They are barely above animals. They cannot possibly have developed this technology." "With respect, sir," Zephyr 9 said carefully, "the evidence suggests otherwise. The signal is real, and it contains knowledge that surpasses our own in many areas." Vex was quiet for a long moment. His yellow eyes seemed to look through Zephyr 9, as if he were trying to see something far away. "How long since our last contact with Earth?" Vex asked finally. 2,000 years, sir," Zephyr 9 replied. 2,000 years, Vex repeated slowly. "Even if they had help from another species, no one develops this fast. It violates all our theories about civilization growth." "Sir," Kess spoke up from her station, "the signal is getting stronger. I think they are trying to establish full communication." "Full communication?" Vex's eyes widened. "They want to talk to us directly?" "It appears so, sir," Zephyr 9 said. "The signal is now formatted in standard galactic protocols. Somehow, they know how to use our communication systems." Vex's bark-like skin shifted to a darker color, which meant he was deeply troubled. "This is unprecedented. No species has ever made contact with us before we made contact with them. They are not supposed to know we exist." "But they do know, sir," Zephyr 9 said, "and they are waiting for us to respond." "Do not respond yet," Vex ordered. "I need to consult with the other council members. In the meantime, continue monitoring the signal, record everything. We need to understand what we are dealing with." The communication ended, leaving Zephyr 9 and Kess alone with the steady stream of data from Earth. The signal continued to grow stronger, and new information kept arriving. The humans were sending star charts that showed they had mapped their entire local region of the galaxy. They were sending historical records that proved they had been developing their technology for exactly 50 years. Not thousands? 50 years, Zephyr 9 said in amazement. They went from primitives to this level in 50 years? That is impossible, Kess said. No species can develop that fast. Tell that to the humans, Zephyr 9 replied. As they watched, a new message appeared on their screens. This one was shorter than the others, but it made Zephyr 9's blood run cold. "We know you are there," the message said. "We know you are watching us. We know you are trying to decide what to do about us. We want you to know that we come in peace. We do not want to fight. We want to learn from you, and we want to teach you what we have learned. We are ready when you are ready." Zephyr 9 leaned back in his chair. The humans were not just making contact. They were being polite about it. They were treating the council as equals, not as superior beings to be feared or worshipped. "What kind of species does this?" he asked Kess. "I do not." "No," she replied. "I have never seen anything like it in all our records." As if the humans had heard their conversation, another message appeared. "We are the kind of species that finds impossible things and makes them possible," it said. "We are the kind of species that learns from our mistakes and grows stronger. We are the kind of species that believes in working together instead of fighting alone. We are humans. We are ready to meet you." Zephyr 9 stared at the message for a long time. Then he looked at Kess, who was staring back at him with wide eyes. "I think," he said slowly, "that the galaxy is about to change forever." The signal from Earth continued to stream across space, carrying with it the promise of something that had never happened before in the history of the Galactic Council. For the first time in millions of years, they were not the ones in control. A first contact. The humans had taken that power for themselves, and they had done it in a way that no one could have predicted or prepared for. The Council's carefully ordered universe was about to be turned upside down by a species that had spent 50 years proving that impossible things were just problems waiting to be solved. And Earth was just getting started. Admiral Korax stood on the bridge of the Council's most advanced warship, the Eternal Vigilance, staring at the tactical display with growing disbelief. His 6 eyes moved independently as they tracked the 3 objects that had just appeared at the edge of Council space. Each eye showed a different angle of confusion. "Tell me again what we are looking at," he said to his science officer, Lieutenant Prex. Prex, a small blue creature with tentacles instead of arms, adjusted several controls before answering. "Sir, 3 vessels have emerged from hyperspace approximately 12 hours ago. They are holding position exactly 1 light hour from our border." "What kind of vessels?" Korax asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "Unknown design, sir," Prex replied. "But the energy signatures match those from the Sol system." Korax felt his stomach twist. The message from Earth had reached the Council 3 days ago. For 3 days, the Council members had argued about what to do. Some wanted to send a greeting. Others wanted to send a warning. A few had even suggested sending weapons. In the end, they had decided to wait and see what the humans would do next. Now they knew. "How big are these ships?" Korax asked. "Each one is approximately 2 kilometers long," Prex said. "But sir, that is not the strange part." "What is the strange part?" Prex's tentacles moved nervously over his controls. "They are not made of any material we recognize. Our sensors cannot determine what they are constructed from. The hulls seem to shift and change as we watch them." Korax moved closer to the main display screen. The 3 human ships were arranged in a perfect triangle formation. They looked nothing like any vessel he had ever seen. Where Council ships were angular and mechanical, these ships seemed organic and fluid. Their surfaces rippled like water, and strange patterns of light moved across their hulls. "Are they using shields?" Korax asked. "We do not think so, sir," Prex replied. "The hull itself appears to be providing protection, but it is unlike any armor we know. What about weapons?" "We cannot detect any weapons, sir. But we also cannot detect much of anything else. These ships are like nothing in our databases." Korax had been a military officer for over 400 years. He had seen ships from every known species in the galaxy. Some were fast, some were strong, some were beautiful, and some were terrifying. But he had never seen ships that made him feel like he was looking at something from a dream. "Sir," called his communications officer from across the bridge, "we are receiving a transmission from the lead vessel." "Put it on screen," Korax ordered. The display changed to show the inside of what appeared to be a ship's bridge. But it looked nothing like any bridge Korax had ever seen. Instead of metal walls and flashing lights, the background showed what looked like a garden. Trees and flowers grew around sophisticated control panels. A small stream of water ran through the middle of the room. In the center of this impossible bridge stood a human. Korax had seen pictures of humans in the council files, but seeing one alive and moving was different. The creature was tall and thin, with pale skin and strange fur growing only on the top of its head. It wore simple clothing that seemed to change color as Korax watched. "Greetings," the human said in perfect galactic standard. "I am Captain Sarah Chun of the Earth vessel Harmony. We request permission to enter council space for peaceful purposes." Korax stared at the human for several seconds before remembering to respond. "This is Admiral Korax of the Council Defense Fleet. How do you know our language?" Captain Chun smiled, which Korax knew was a human expression of friendliness. "We have been listening to your communications for some time. Your language is quite logical once you understand the basic patterns." "You have been listening to our communications?" Korax repeated. "But our communications are encrypted with quantum protocols that took us centuries to develop." "Yes," Chun agreed. "They are very sophisticated. It took us almost 3 weeks to figure them out." 3 weeks. Korax felt dizzy. The Council's best cryptographers had spent lifetimes developing those encryption methods. The humans had broken them in 3 weeks. "Captain Chun," Korax said carefully, "may I ask about your ships?" "Our sensors cannot determine what they are made of." "Oh, that," Chun said with another smile. "We call it adaptive matter. It changes its properties based on what we need. Right now, it is configured for space travel and protection from radiation, but it can become anything we want." "Anything?" "Well, almost anything. We are still learning what it can do. We only discovered how to make it 47 years ago." 47 years. Korax had been studying ship construction for longer than humans had possessed this technology, and he could not even understand what he was looking at. "Captain," Korax said, "I must ask you to maintain your current position while we contact the Council. Your arrival is unexpected." "Of course," Chun replied. "We understand this must be surprising for you. We will wait." The transmission ended, leaving Korax staring at the empty screen. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations, but he could feel their nervousness. Everyone had heard the conversation. "Sir," Prex said softly, "should I contact the council chambers?" "Yes," Korax replied, "and tell them that everything we thought we knew about humans is wrong." While Prex sent the message, Korax continued to study the human ships. The more he looked at them, the more impossible they seemed. They did not follow any known principles of ship design. They had no visible engines, yet they had somehow traveled faster than light to reach council space. They had no obvious weapons, yet Korax suspected they were more dangerous than anything in the council fleet. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "I am detecting some kind of scan from the human vessels." "What kind of scan?" Korax asked. "Unknown type, sir. But it appears to be examining our ship in great detail." Korax activated his own scanning systems and aimed them at the human vessels. Immediately, he received a communication from Captain Chun. "Admiral Korax, we apologize for scanning your ship without permission. We were curious about your technology. Would you prefer that we stop?" Korax was amazed. His own scans had revealed nothing about the human ships, but their scans had apparently told them everything about his vessel. "It is acceptable," he replied. "But may I ask what you learned?" "Your ship is quite impressive," Chun said. "The fusion reactors are very efficient, and your shield generators use an interesting approach to energy distribution. The hull composition is a bit outdated, but still effective for most purposes." "Outdated?" The Eternal Vigilance was the newest ship in the Council fleet, incorporating technology developed over the past 1,000 years. To the humans, it was outdated. "Captain Chun," Korax said, "how long have your people been traveling between stars?" "This is our first time leaving our solar system," Chun replied. Korax's 6 eyes all focused on the screen at once. "Your first time?" "Yes, we wanted to make sure we could build ships that would not embarrass us when we met you." These 3 Vessels are our prototypes. Prototypes. The most advanced ships Korax had ever seen were prototypes. What would their finished vessels be like? Sir, Prex interrupted, I am receiving a priority message from the council chambers. Put it through, Korax said. The screen changed to show Counselor Vex, the same elderly Chronari who had spoken with Zephyr 9 at the monitoring station. His bark-like skin was even darker than before, and his yellow eyes looked tired. Admiral Korax, Vex said, what is the situation? The humans have arrived, sir, Korax replied. 3 ships, unknown technology, requesting permission to enter our space. Are they hostile? No, sir. They appear to be very polite, almost too polite. What do you mean? Korax hesitated. Sir, they are treating us as equals, not as superior beings to be feared or worshipped. They act like meeting us is just another normal day for them. Vex was quiet for a moment. That is unusual. Most species are either terrified or aggressive when they first encounter us. These humans are neither, sir. They seem genuinely happy to meet us. What about their technology? Far beyond anything we have seen, sir. Their ships appear to be made of some kind of matter that can change its properties at will. They broke our quantum encryption in 3 weeks. They scanned our most advanced warship and called our technology outdated. Vex's skin turned almost black. Outdated. Yes, sir. And according to their captain, these are just prototype vessels. This is their first time leaving their home system. Admiral, Vex said slowly, I want you to escort these humans to the council chambers. Do not treat them as prisoners, but do not let them out of your sight. We need to understand what we are dealing with. Yes, sir. What about the rest of the fleet? Keep them ready, but do not take any hostile actions. If these humans are as advanced as they appear, we do not want to provoke them. The communication ended. Korax turned back to his main screen and opened a channel to the human ships. Captain Chun, this is Admiral Korax. The Council has agreed to meet with you. Would you be willing to accompany us to the Council chambers? We would be honored, Chun replied. Should we follow your ship? That would be acceptable. But Captain, I must warn you that the journey will take several days through hyperspace. That is fine. Our ships are quite comfortable for long trips. Very well. Please maintain formation behind us and match our speed. Korax gave orders to his navigation officer, and the Eternal Vigilance began moving toward the hyperspace entry point. Behind them, the 3 human ships followed smoothly. They moved with a grace that made Korax think of dancers rather than starships. As they entered hyperspace, Korax found himself wondering what would happen when they reached the council chambers. The humans had already demonstrated technology that surpassed the council's best efforts. They had shown knowledge that challenged everything the council thought they knew about development and growth. But most disturbing of all, they had done it with a casual confidence that suggested this was just the beginning. Captain Chen had mentioned that they were still learning what their technology could do. She had spoken of discoveries made only decades ago as if they were already old news. What would the humans show them next? What other impossible things had they learned to make possible? Korax looked at the tactical display, where the 3 human ships maintained perfect formation behind his own vessel. They looked like works of art sailing through the dimensional chaos of hyperspace. Beautiful, mysterious, and utterly alien despite being created by a species the Council had dismissed as primitive. The galaxy was about to change, and Admiral Korax had the uncomfortable feeling that the Council was not going to be the ones controlling that change. For the first time in millions of years, they were going to be the students instead of the teachers. And their teachers were a species that had spent 50 years proving that the impossible was just another word for not yet accomplished. The Great Council Chamber had not seen this much excitement in over 10,000 years. Representatives from 847 different species filled the massive circular room, their voices creating a noise like a thunderstorm. Some spoke with mouths, others with clicking sounds, and a few communicated through flashing lights or electromagnetic pulses. Counselor Vex stood at the center podium, trying to bring order to the chaos. His old bark-like skin was almost black with stress, and his yellow eyes darted nervously around the chamber. "Please, honored representatives," he called out in his creaky voice. "We must maintain order. The human delegation will arrive soon." "This is madness," shouted Counselor Vex, a massive creature that looked like a walking boulder. "We cannot allow primitives into our sacred chamber." "They are not primitives," replied Counselor Zira, a graceful being made of what appeared to be living crystal. "The reports from Admiral Corax make that very clear." "Reports can be wrong," Vex rumbled. "I have seen the council files. These humans were using stone tools just 2,000 years ago. And now they have ships that our best scientists cannot understand," Zira countered. "Something has changed." Near the back of the chamber, Counselor Nexus floated in a tank of green gas. The blob-like creature spoke through vibrations in the gas. "The question is not what has changed, but how it changed so quickly. No species develops this fast without help." "Help from whom?" asked Counselor Rift, a tall, thin being with skin like polished metal. "There are no unknown species in this galaxy powerful enough to give such aid." The argument continued as representatives debated in dozens of languages. Some believed the humans were a threat that needed to be contained. Others thought they might be refugees from another galaxy. A few even suggested that the humans might be the return of the mythical predecessors. Though most dismissed this as fantasy, Counselor Vex was about to call for silence again when the chamber's main doors opened. Admiral Corax walked in, looking uncomfortable in his formal dress uniform. Behind him came three figures that made the entire chamber fall silent. The human delegation walked into the room without any protective suits or breathing apparatus. This should have been impossible. The chamber was designed to accommodate hundreds of different species, each with their own atmospheric needs. The air was a carefully balanced mixture of gases that could support most forms of life, but it was deadly to many others, yet the humans walked freely, breathing the same air as beings who came from worlds with crushing gravity, toxic atmospheres, and radiation that would kill most creatures instantly. They wore simple clothing that seemed to shimmer and change as they moved. Adapting to the different environmental zones within the chamber, the leader of the human delegation was a middle-aged woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She walked with confidence but not arrogance, nodding politely to the various representatives as she passed. Behind her came a younger man with dark skin and a curious expression, and a third human who appeared to be neither fully male nor female, but something in between. "Honored Council," Admiral Corax announced, his voice echoing in the suddenly quiet chamber, "I present Ambassador Shun of Earth, along with her advisors Dr. Williams and Dr. Patel." Ambassador Chun stepped forward and bowed slightly, a gesture of respect that was somehow understood by every being in the chamber, regardless of their species or culture. "Greetings to the Galactic Council," she said, her voice clear and warm. "We are honored to be here." What happened next shocked everyone present. Ambassador Chun had spoken in what sounded like perfect Galactic standard, but every representative heard her words in their own language. The Vortani heard musical tones, the Chronari heard creaking sounds like wind through trees, and the gas-dwelling Nexus heard vibrations that matched his own speech patterns perfectly. Counselor Vex stepped forward, his old eyes wide with amazement. "Ambassador Chun, how are you communicating with all of us simultaneously?" "We developed universal translation technology," Chun replied with a smile. "It reads the neural patterns associated with language and converts our words into whatever form of communication you use. We thought it would be rude to make you listen to us in only one language." "Universal translation," Vex repeated slowly. "We have been working on such technology for millions of years. Our best attempts can handle perhaps a dozen languages at once." "We understand," Chun said gently. "It is a difficult problem. We have only had it working for about 6 months." 6 months. The chamber erupted in noise again as representatives tried to process what they had just heard. The humans had solved in 6 months a problem that had challenged the Council's greatest minds for eons. "Silence!" Vex called out, his voice amplified by the chamber's sound systems. Ambassador Chun, please take the speaker's platform. Chen walked to the center of the chamber, where a raised platform allowed speakers to address the entire assembly. As she moved, representatives noticed that she seemed equally comfortable in every part of the chamber. Areas with higher gravity did not slow her down. Regions with different atmospheric pressures did not affect her breathing. Zones with intense radiation that would harm most species seemed to have no effect on her at all. "How is this possible?" whispered Counselor Zira to her neighbor, a reptilian creature called Hask. "She should need protective equipment." "Her clothing," Hask replied, his voice full of wonder. "Look at how it changes. It is adapting to every environment in the chamber." Indeed, Qian's simple outfit seemed to shift and adjust as she moved. When she passed through a high radiation zone, the fabric became denser. When she entered an area with crushing gravity, the clothing appeared to provide additional support. When she breathed air that should have been toxic to human physiology, the outfit seemed to filter and process it for her. Chun reached the platform and looked around the chamber, making eye contact with representatives from dozens of different species. Her expression was calm and friendly, as if she met with galactic councils every day. "Members of the council," she began, "we come to you today not as supplicants seeking aid, but as neighbors hoping to build friendship. We know that our rapid development must seem impossible to you. We know that our technology appears to violate many of your established theories. We are here to explain how this happened and to share what we have learned." Counselor Thex, the boulder-like being, spoke up from his section of the chamber. "You claim to have developed impossible technology in mere decades. This violates everything we know about species advancement. What is your explanation?" Chun nodded as if she had expected this question. "The explanation is simple, though the implications are complex. We did not develop this technology ourselves. We found it." "Found it?" Vex asked. "Where?" "On our moon," Chun replied. 53. Years ago, our people were exploring the surface of our moon when they discovered ruins beneath the lunar dust. The ruins contained technology beyond anything we had imagined possible." The chamber fell silent again. The idea that unknown ruins existed on a moon in the Sol system was shocking enough. But June was not finished. "We spent the first 3 years just learning how to enter the ruins safely," she continued. "The technology was so advanced that we could barely understand what we were looking at. But slowly, carefully, we began to learn." "What did you find?" asked Counselor Rift. "Everything," Chung replied simply. "Medical technology that could heal any injury or disease. Energy sources that could power entire civilizations. Materials that could adapt to any environment or need. Transportation systems that could cross vast distances instantly. And most importantly, information storage devices that contained the complete knowledge of the civilization that built the ruins." Dr. Williams, one of Chain's advisors, stepped forward. "The ruins belonged to a species that called themselves the Shapers. According to their records, they existed in this galaxy millions of years ago, long before any of the current Council species had developed space travel. The Shapers left detailed instructions on how to use their technology," Dr. Patel added. "But more than that, they left explanations of how the technology worked and how it could be improved. We have spent 50 years learning from their knowledge and building upon it." Counselor Nexus vibrated urgently in his tank. "The Shapers. This name appears in our oldest legends. They were said to be the predecessors, the first great civilization of the galaxy." "We believe that is correct," Chun agreed. "Their records indicate that they explored and settled thousands of worlds throughout the galaxy. But something happened to them. Their civilization ended suddenly and they vanished without a trace." "What happened to them?" Vex asked. "We do not know," Chun admitted. "Their final records are unclear. They speak of a great danger approaching, something that threatened all life in the galaxy. They made preparations to preserve their knowledge and technology for future civilizations to find. Then their records end?" The implications of this revelation sent waves of shock through the chamber. If the humans had access to predecessor technology and knowledge, it explained their impossible advancement. but it also raised terrifying questions about what had happened to the predecessors and whether that danger still existed. Ambassador Chun, Counselor Zira said carefully, "What are your intentions? Why have you revealed yourselves to us now?" Chun smiled, and her expression was both sad and hopeful. "Because the predecessor records contain warnings about the danger that destroyed them. The warnings suggest that this danger operates in cycles, returning every few million years. According to their calculations, the next cycle is beginning soon." "How soon?" Vex asked, though he was not sure he wanted to know the answer. "Within the next 1,000 years, Chun replied, "possibly much sooner." The predecessors believed that only a united galaxy could survive what is coming. They left their technology hoping that future species would find it and use it to prepare for the return of the danger. "And you believe humanity should lead this preparation?" Vex asked suspiciously. "Not lead," Chun corrected gently. "Participate." The predecessors were clear that no single species could face this threat alone. "We need to work together, sharing knowledge and resources. We need to learn from each other and grow stronger together." Dr. Williams stepped forward again. "We have brought gifts to demonstrate our good intentions. Medical nanites that can cure any disease or injury. Energy converters that can power your worlds without pollution or waste. Communication systems that can connect any 2 points in the galaxy instantly. We offer these freely," Dr. Patel added, "with no conditions or demands for payment. We only ask that you consider working with us to prepare for what is coming." The chamber was completely silent now. Representatives stared at the three humans, trying to process what they had just heard. The humans had not come as conquerors or as supplicants. They had come as equals, offering to share technology that could transform galactic civilization, asking only for cooperation in return. But behind their generous offer lay a terrifying truth. Something had destroyed the most advanced civilization the galaxy had ever known. That same something might be returning soon, and the only hope of survival lay in species that had spent millions of years competing and fighting, suddenly learning to work together. Ambassador Chen stood quietly on the platform, waiting for the council to respond. She looked patient and confident, as if she had no doubt that rational beings would make the right choice when presented with the facts. But she also looked sad, as if she knew that the galaxy was about to face its greatest challenge, and that not everyone would survive what was coming. The demonstration chamber beneath the council building had never hosted anything like this before. Representatives from dozens of species crowded around tables, where the humans had placed small devices that looked like nothing more than drops of liquid mercury. Ambassador Chun stood at the front of the room, her two advisors beside her, waiting patiently as the crowd settled. "What you see before you," Chun began, "are samples of the technology we found in the predecessor ruins. We call them medical nanites. They are microscopic machines designed to repair any form of biological damage." Counselor Vex approached one of the tables, his old yellow eyes studying the silver droplet. "How do they work?" Dr. Williams stepped forward. "The nanites scan living tissue and identify any problems. Injuries, diseases, genetic defects, aging damage, even psychological trauma that has physical effects. Then they repair whatever they find wrong." "Impossible," declared Dr. Krex, the council's chief medical officer. He was a tall, thin creature with 4 arms and skin like blue rubber. "No technology can repair all forms of biological damage. Each species has different biology, different cellular structures, different genetic codes. The nanites learn," Dr. Patel explained. "They study each new form of life they encounter and adapt their repair methods accordingly. The predecessors designed them to work on any species they might discover." Dr. Krex moved closer to examine the nanites. "And you claim these can cure anything?" "We have tested them extensively on our own people," Chun replied. "Cancer, heart disease, brain injuries, paralysis, blindness, deafness, organ failure, even death if the brain has not been damaged too badly. The nanites can fix all of these problems." The chamber erupted in excited chatter. Several medical officers from different species pushed forward to get a better look at the devices. "May we test them?" Dr. Krex asked. "Of course," Chun said. "But we suggest starting with something simple. The nanits are very effective, but the first treatment can be overwhelming for patients who are not prepared." Dr. Krex looked around the room, and his eyes settled on Lieutenant Voss, a young Dralian officer who had been injured in a training accident years ago. The lieutenant's left arm hung useless at his side, damaged beyond repair by conventional medicine. "Lieutenant Voss," Dr. Krex called. "Would you be willing to volunteer?" The young officer stepped forward nervously. His species looked similar to humans, but with gray skin and large black eyes. "What do I need to do?" Dr. Williams picked up one of the silver droplets. "Just place your injured arm on the table. The nanits will do the rest." Voss hesitated for a moment, then placed his damaged arm on the smooth surface. Dr. Williams touched the silver droplet to the lieutenant's skin. Immediately, the nanits spread across his arm like liquid metal, covering the damaged tissue in a thin silver coating. "I can feel something," Voss said in amazement. "It is warm and it tingles." "The nanits are scanning your arm and identifying the damage," Dr. Patel explained. "Now they will begin repairs." For several minutes, nothing visible happened. Then, slowly, Voss began to move his fingers. The movement was stiff at first, but gradually became smoother. Color returned to his gray skin where it had been pale and sickly. The arm that had hung lifeless for years was becoming whole again. "I can feel everything," Voss whispered, tears forming in his large eyes. "The pain is gone. I can move my fingers. I can feel the table." The silver coating faded away, leaving behind an arm that looked perfectly healthy. Voss flexed his hand, moved his wrist, and lifted his arm above his head. The limb that had been destroyed was now completely functional. The chamber fell silent as everyone stared at the miraculous healing. Then Dr. Krex spoke in a voice full of wonder. "In 40 years of medical practice, I have never seen anything like this." Lieutenant Voss's arm was beyond repair. The nerve damage alone should have made healing impossible. The nanits rebuilt the damaged nerves, Dr. Williams explained. They can regrow any biological tissue using the patient's own genetic template as a guide. "What about diseases?" asked Dr. Thera, a medical officer from the species that looked like walking flowers. "Can they cure conditions that affect the entire body?" Chun nodded. "We have tested them on every disease we could find. Genetic disorders, viral infections, bacterial diseases, cancers, autoimmune conditions, even aging itself. The nanits treat all of these as forms of damage to be repaired." "Aging?" Dr. Krex repeated. "You can reverse aging?" "To some extent," Dr. Patel replied. "The nanits can repair the cellular damage that causes aging, but they cannot extend life beyond the natural genetic limits of each species. A human treated with nanits might live for 200 years instead of 100, but they cannot live forever." The medical officers began asking rapid questions about side effects, compatibility, and safety. The humans answered each question patiently, providing data and explanations that amazed their listeners. But while the medical demonstration continued, Ambassador Shun noticed that not everyone in the chamber was focused on the nanits. "Counselor." Vex had moved to a different table where Dr. Williams had placed what looked like a small crystal cube. "What is this device?" Vex asked. "An energy converter," Chun replied, moving to join him. "It extracts power from quantum fluctuations in empty space." Vex stared at the cube. "Empty space has no energy." "Actually, it does," Dr. Williams explained. "Quantum mechanics tells us that even completely empty space contains virtual particles that constantly appear and disappear. The predecessors learned how to capture some of the energy from these particles." "How much energy?" asked Engineer Thok. A massive creature made of living metal who had approached the table. Dr. Patel touched a control on the side of the cube. Immediately, the device began to glow with a soft blue light. Numbers appeared in the air above it, showing power output readings. "This small unit produces enough energy to power a medium-sized city," Dr. Patel said. Larger versions can power entire star systems. Engineer Thok's metal skin changed color from silver to bright gold, which indicated extreme excitement in his species. This is impossible. You cannot extract that much energy from quantum fluctuations without violating basic physical laws. The predecessors found a way to work within those laws, Chun explained. The energy comes from the quantum foam that underlies all of reality. The converters do not violate conservation of energy because they are drawing power from an effectively infinite source. No pollution? Thok asked. No waste products? No fuel requirements? None, Dr. Williams confirmed. The converters work anywhere in the universe as long as space-time itself exists. They require no maintenance and will function for millions of years. Engineer Thok began examining the energy converter with instruments that emerged from his metal body. Other engineers and scientists crowded around, taking readings and asking technical questions that quickly became too complex for most of the observers to follow. At a third table, communications specialists were studying a device that looked like a sphere of polished black stone. Counselor Zira floated nearby, her crystal body refracting light in patterns that showed deep curiosity. This is an instantaneous communication system, Chun explained to the growing crowd. It allows real-time conversation across any distance, even between different galaxies. Faster-than-light communication violates relativity, protested Chief Communications Officer Renth, a being that looked like a walking collection of geometric shapes. Information cannot travel faster than light. It does not travel at all, Dr. Patel said. The system uses quantum entanglement to create a direct connection between 2 points in space. The information appears simultaneously at both locations without crossing the space between them. Renth's geometric body reconfigured itself into new patterns as he processed this information. Quantum entanglement can only work over short distances. The effect breaks down over interstellar ranges. Under normal circumstances, yes, Dr. Williams agreed. But the predecessors learned how to stabilize entangled particles using what they called dimensional anchors. These anchors exist outside normal spacetime, so distance has no meaning for them. Chun activated the communication device and the black sphere began to emit a low humming sound. We have similar devices on our ships and on Earth. With your permission, we can demonstrate instantaneous communication with our home world. Earth is hundreds of light years away, Renth said. Even our fastest communications take months to reach that distance. Would you like to speak with someone on Earth? Chun asked. Before Renth could answer, a voice emerged from the sphere, speaking in perfect galactic standard. This is Dr. Zhang at Earth Central Communications. We are receiving you clearly, Ambassador Chun. Is the demonstration going well? The communications officers stared at the device in shock. They had just heard a voice from Earth, speaking in real time across hundreds of light years of space. Dr. Zhang, Chun said, please tell our guests what time it is on Earth. It is currently 3:47 in the afternoon, Earth Standard Time, the voice replied. We are monitoring your location using our orbital sensors. The communication lag between Earth and your position is 0 seconds. Renth's geometric body collapsed into a simple cube, which was his species' equivalent of fainting. Around the chamber, representatives continued to examine the human technology. Each device they studied challenged fundamental assumptions about what was possible. The medical nanites violated everything they knew about biological limitations. The energy converters seemed to break the laws of physics. The communication system made their fastest ships seem like crawling insects. But perhaps most disturbing of all was how casually the humans shared this technology. They answered every question, explained every principle, and offered to provide the devices to any species that wanted them. They acted as if giving away technology that could revolutionize galactic civilization was the most natural thing in the world. Ambassador Chun, Counselor Vex said slowly, why are you sharing all of this so freely? Any one of these technologies could make your species the most powerful in the galaxy. Chin looked around the chamber at all the amazed faces staring back at her. Because power means nothing if the galaxy is destroyed. The predecessors had all of this technology and more, but it could not save them from whatever threat they faced. We believe that only cooperation between all species can prepare us for what is coming. What exactly is coming? Asked Counselor Rift, his metallic skin reflecting the blue glow from the energy converter. Dr. Williams moved to the center of the chamber, his expression becoming serious. The predecessor records are not entirely clear, but they describe something they called the Devourers. Entities that exist outside normal spacetime, feeding on the life energy of entire galaxies. The Devourers appear in this galaxy approximately every 4 million years, Dr. Patel continued. They consume all biological life they encounter, then retreat to whatever dimension they came from. The predecessors calculated that the next incursion will begin within the next 1,000 years. And you believe we can fight these Devourers? Vex asked. We believe we can survive them, Chun replied. The predecessors left detailed plans for defense systems that could protect entire star systems. But building these defenses will require the combined efforts of every advanced species in the galaxy. No single civilization, no matter how advanced, can do it alone. The chamber was quiet as everyone absorbed this information. The humans had not come to conquer or to seek advantage. They had come to warn of a threat beyond imagination and to offer the tools needed to survive it. But they had also made it clear that survival would require unprecedented cooperation between species that had never trusted each other, had never worked together, and had never faced anything like the challenge that was coming. The galaxy was about to learn whether it could change quickly enough to save itself. 3 months had passed since the humans first arrived at the council chambers. The galaxy had changed more in those 3 months than it had in the previous 1,000 years. Ambassador Chun stood once again before the full assembly, but this time the atmosphere was completely different. Where once there had been suspicion and fear, now there was excitement and hope. Representatives who had spent centuries barely speaking to each other were now working together on projects that would have been impossible to imagine just months before. Honored Council, Chun began, her voice carrying easily through the chambers. New communication system that allowed every species to hear her perfectly in their own language. We gather today to review our progress and plan for the challenges ahead. In the 3 months since the demonstration, the human technology had spread throughout council space faster than anyone had thought possible. Medical nanites were curing diseases that had plagued entire species for millennia. Energy converters were providing clean, unlimited power to worlds that had struggled with scarcity for generations. Communication networks now connected every corner of the galaxy in real time, but more importantly, the species of the galaxy were learning to work together in ways they never had before. The Altarian shipyards have completed the first prototype. Defense Station, reported Admiral Korax, who now served as military coordinator for the Joint Defense Project. The combination of human energy systems, Vortani shield technology, and Chronari structural engineering has produced something extraordinary. On the main display screen, an image appeared of a massive space station unlike anything ever built. Before, it was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, with flowing curves that seemed to bend space around them and weapon systems that hummed with barely contained power. How powerful is it? Asked Counselor Vex, who had become one of the project's strongest supporters after seeing his people's strength-based technology enhanced by human improvements. Our tests suggest it could protect an entire star system from attack, Admiral Korax replied. But we will need hundreds of these stations to defend the galaxy adequately. The production facilities are being expanded, reported Engineer Thok, his metal body now gleaming with pride instead of suspicion. 17 different species have contributed manufacturing capabilities. With human fabrication technology, we can build these stations faster than anyone thought possible. Dr. Williams stepped forward to address the assembly. The defense stations are only part of our preparation. We have also been working on early warning systems that can detect the Devourers before they arrive. The sensor networks are nearly complete, added Chief Communications Officer Renth, whose geometric body had been modified with human technology that allowed him to process information at incredible speeds. We now have monitoring stations in every major star system, all connected through instantaneous communication networks. What about evacuation plans? Asked Counselor Zira, her crystal body refracting light in patterns that showed both determination and worry. If some systems cannot be defended, we need ways to move entire populations to safety. Dr. Patel activated a holographic display that showed ship designs unlike anything in the old galaxy. We have developed evacuation vessels that can carry millions of beings at faster than light speeds. Each ship uses human transportation technology combined with life support systems designed by over 50 different species. The ships can sustain entire populations for years if necessary, added Dr. Williams. And they are equipped with fabrication systems that can build new colonies on any suitable world. Ambassador Chun looked around the chamber at the faces of beings who had transformed from suspicious strangers into determined allies. But perhaps our greatest achievement has been learning to work together. We have created something that has never existed before in this galaxy, true cooperation between all intelligent species. It was true. The project to defend against the Devourers had brought together species that had been enemies for thousands of years. The Altarians and Vortani, who had fought 3 wars over territorial disputes, were now sharing their most advanced technologies. The Chronari and Dralians, who had never spoken to each other, were jointly designing new weapon systems. The humans have shown us something important, said Counselor Vex, his old bark-like skin now looking healthier thanks to medical nanites that had repaired centuries of age-related damage. They have shown us that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. When humans first found the predecessor ruins, Sean explained, we could have kept the technology for ourselves. We could have used it to conquer other worlds or to make ourselves rich and powerful. But the predecessor records taught us something crucial. Isolation leads to extinction. Dr. Williams nodded. The predecessors were incredibly advanced, but they were alone. They had eliminated or absorbed every other intelligent species in the galaxy. When the Devourers came, there was no one to help them, no different perspectives to offer new solutions, no allies to share the burden of defense. They failed because they had only one way of thinking, one approach to problems, Dr. Patel continued. But when many species work together, we have hundreds of different ways of thinking, thousands of different approaches to try. The truth of this was already becoming clear. Human technology had been improved by alien insights that humans never would have discovered alone. Vortani energy shields had been enhanced by human understanding of quantum mechanics. Chronari structural engineering had been revolutionized by human materials science. Every species had contributed something unique and valuable. What is our current readiness level? Asked Counselor Rift, his metallic skin reflecting the soft glow of the chamber's new lighting systems. Admiral Korax consulted a datapad that updated in real time with information from across the galaxy. Defense station construction is ahead of schedule. We now have 47 completed stations protecting key systems, with 12 more coming online each month. The sensor network covers 80% of the galaxy, and we expect full coverage within 6 months. Evacuation fleet construction is proceeding rapidly, with capacity for over 1 billion beings completed and more ships being built daily. And the weapon systems? Asked Counselor Nexus, his gas-filled tank now equipped with human technology. That allowed him to communicate more clearly with other species. This is where our cooperation has produced the most surprising results, Dr. Williams said with a smile. Each species brought their own weapons technology to the project. When we combined them with predecessor knowledge, we created defensive systems far more powerful than anything the predecessors themselves had built. The Altarian plasma cannons, enhanced with human energy conversion technology, can now destroy objects the size of small moons, Admiral Korax reported. The Vortani shield generators, improved with Chronari structural principles, can protect entire planets from attack. The Dralian sensor systems, upgraded with human quantum processing, can detect threats across multiple dimensions. But our greatest weapon, Chun said softly, is our unity. The Devourers defeated the predecessors because the predecessors faced them alone. We will not make that mistake. The chamber was quiet for a moment as everyone considered the magnitude of what they had accomplished. In just 3 months, they had built the foundation for a galactic defense system that surpassed anything ever attempted before. But more than that, they had created a new kind of civilization based on cooperation instead of competition. There's something else we need to discuss, Chun said, her expression becoming more serious. Our studies of the predecessor records have revealed new information about the Devourers. The Chamber's attention focused completely on her words. We now believe the Devourers are not simply destroyers, Dr. Williams explained. They appear to be entities that exist outside our normal universe, feeding on the life energy of entire galaxies, but they are also intelligent and they learn from each encounter. What does this mean for our defense? Asked Counselor Vex. It means they will not attack the same way they did 4 million years ago, Dr. Patel replied. They will have learned from their battle with the predecessors. They will come prepared for the defenses the predecessors used. But they will not be prepared for our defenses, Chun added, because our defenses are based on cooperation between many species, something they have never encountered before. The predecessors fought alone with a single unified strategy, Dr. Williams continued. But we will fight together, with hundreds of different strategies working in harmony. The Devourers may have learned to counter predecessor technology, but they have never faced the combined might of an entire galaxy working as one. Engineer Thok's metal body changed to a bright silver color, indicating determination. When will they arrive? Our calculations suggest we have between 500 and 800 years to prepare, Dr. Patel replied. But we are treating this as if they could arrive tomorrow. We cannot afford to be caught unprepared. What about other galaxies? Asked Counselor Zira. Are we warning them as well? Chun nodded. We have sent long-range communication probes to neighboring galaxies. If there are other intelligent species out there, they need to know what is coming. We cannot save only ourselves and ignore the rest of the universe. That is very human, observed Counselor Rift with what passed for a smile in his species. Always thinking about others, even strangers you have never met. It is not just human, Chun replied. It is what all intelligent beings should do. We are all part of the same universe, all facing the same threats. Helping others helps ourselves. As the session continued, representatives reported on progress in their home systems. The Altarian worlds were becoming centers of shipbuilding, using human fabrication technology to produce vessels at unprecedented rates. The Vortani systems were developing new energy networks that could power the defense stations. The Chronari worlds were training specialists in the new technologies that would be needed to maintain the galactic defense grid. But perhaps most importantly, young beings from every species were attending new schools where they learned not just about their own cultures, but about the cultures of their galactic neighbors. Children who would grow up to face the Devourer threat were learning from the beginning that cooperation was not just helpful, but essential for survival. We have achieved something remarkable, Chun said as the session drew to a close. We have proven that different species can work together not just for mutual benefit, but for mutual survival. We have shown that our diversity is our strength, not our weakness. The galaxy our children inherit will be different from the one we knew, added Counselor Vex. It will be stronger, more united, and better prepared for whatever challenges the universe may bring. As the representatives prepared to leave, they carried with them more than just plans and technology. They carried hope. For the first time in galactic history, every intelligent species was working toward the same goal, sharing their knowledge and resources freely, building something greater than any of them could achieve alone. The humans had indeed stunned the Galactic Council with their arrival, but their greatest gift had not been their impossible technology or their revolutionary science. Their greatest gift had been showing the galaxy that cooperation was not just possible, but necessary for survival. The Devourers would come as they had come before. But this time, they would face not a single species fighting alone, but an entire galaxy united in purpose and strength. The galaxy that had once been divided by fear and suspicion was now united by hope and determination, and it had all begun. With 3 ships appearing at the edge of Council space, carrying humans who refused to accept that impossible things could not be made possible.